What if everything you have been told about why your erections weakened, why your energy collapsed, and why your drive quietly faded was completely wrong? Not partially wrong. Not slightly off. Completely, fundamentally wrong. Because after more than 20 years as a urologist specializing exclusively in senior men's sexual health, I can tell you with absolute certainty that the decline most men over 60 accept as normal is not natural. It is not inevitable. And it does not have to be permanent. And the proof of that sits in something so simple, so affordable, and so shockingly effective that most of my patients laugh the first time I describe it. One drop. Warm honey water. Before bed. That is where this begins. And by the time this video ends, you will understand exactly why that single ritual has the power to reopen the arteries responsible for your erections, restore the blood flow that drives firm and lasting performance, and return the version of yourself you thought you had permanently lost. I am Dr. Mei Anderson. I am a urologist with over 20 years of clinical experience working specifically with men over 50 on the most personal, most painful, and most misunderstood area of their health, their sexual vitality. And this channel, Vital Health Seniors, exists because men like you deserve real answers. Not dismissal. Not another prescription pushed across a desk. Not the humiliating silence most doctors offer when you try to bring this up in an appointment. Before we go any further, if no one has spoken to you honestly about this before, if you have been searching for answers and finding nothing that actually works, subscribe right now and hit the bell. Every single week, I publish one video designed specifically for men over 50 who are done accepting less than they deserve. Now let us get into what is actually happening inside your body, because once you understand this, everything else falls into place. I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, not to me, but to yourself. Do you remember the last morning you woke up and felt it? That natural firmness. That quiet confidence before the day even started. That sense that your body was working with you instead of against you. If you have to think back years to find that memory, I want you to know something important. You are not alone. And you are not broken. But I also want you to know that what you are experiencing right now has a name. It has a cause. And it has a solution that most men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s have never once been offered. The men I see in my practice. Good men, strong men. Men who spent their whole lives being the provider, the protector, the partner. They come to me carrying something heavy. Not just the physical symptoms. They carry the emotional weight of feeling like they have become invisible to the person they love most. The quiet grief of intimacy becoming awkward. The private fear that creeps in at 2 in the morning when the house is silent, and the thought arrives uninvited. Is this just who I am now? One patient, I will call him Gerald, was 72 years old. Retired firefighter. Married 41 years. He sat across from me and said something I will never forget. He said, "Dr. Anderson, I feel like I am letting her down every single night. Not because I do not want to, but because my body just will not answer me anymore." That sentence stayed with me. Because Gerald was not failing. Gerald's arteries were failing him. And that distinction, that single distinction, is the most important thing I can give you today. If this is speaking to you right now, type the number 72 in the comments below. I read every single one. And I want to know how many men are watching this and finally feeling heard for the first time. Now here is the truth that nobody tells senior men. The truth that changes everything. Your desire did not die. Your brain still sends the signal. Your body still remembers what it is supposed to feel. But somewhere between that signal leaving your brain and the response your body is supposed to give, the message gets lost. And the reason it gets lost is not age. It is not weakness. It is not low testosterone alone. It is blood flow. Specifically, the progressive narrowing and stiffening of the penile arteries. I want you to understand how dramatic this is, because most men have absolutely no idea. The penile artery, the primary blood vessel responsible for erection, is between 1 and 2 millimeters wide. That is smaller than a grain of rice. It is one of the smallest arteries in the entire human body. And because it is the smallest, it is the first to suffer when circulation declines. Long before you feel it in your heart. long before your doctor notices anything in your blood pressure readings. It shows up here, in this tiny critical artery, quietly, silently, over years. What happens next is a cascade that most men never have explained to them. Nitric oxide, the molecule your arterial walls must produce in order to relax, widen, and allow blood to rush in, drops dramatically with age. Research shows nitric oxide production can fall by more than 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. Without nitric oxide, your arterial walls stay stiff. They stay narrow. They cannot respond to the brain's signal no matter how strong that signal actually is. At the same time, the blood itself thickens. It becomes more viscous, more sluggish, less capable of pushing through those already narrowed pathways. And then there is inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation that coats the inner lining of your blood vessels with what I describe to my patients as a kind of biological rust. That rust does not just reduce blood flow. It actively blocks your body from producing the very molecules it needs to restore itself. So your brain sends the signal. The signal travels. And it arrives at a locked door. The desire is there. The machinery is still there. But the pathway that should carry the response simply cannot get through. This is not a failure of masculinity. This is a failure of circulation. And circulation, unlike age, can be restored. Stay with me, because in a few minutes I am going to show you exactly what one drop of a specific oil does to those arterial walls within 30 minutes of entering your bloodstream. And why warm honey water is the only vehicle powerful enough to deliver it there. But first, if this channel has given you something that feels different from what you normally find, something honest and direct and built specifically for men like you, please subscribe right now. Click the bell. Because next week I am releasing a video on the specific morning habit that can raise free testosterone by over 30% in 7 days, and you do not want to miss that. Now, warm honey water is not just a pleasant bedtime drink. Most men who discover the power of this ritual focus entirely on what they are adding to it. And that ingredient is extraordinary. I promise we are getting there. But I want you to understand something first. Warm honey water is a biological primer. It is the preparation your arteries need before the main event begins. Without it, even the most powerful compound in the world delivers only a fraction of its true potential. Here is what happens the moment it enters your body. The warmth, not hot, not cold, but gently warm, the temperature of a comfortable bath, begins triggering what is called thermogenic vasodilation. Your blood vessels from your throat down through your stomach and into your peripheral circulation begin to relax and widen in response to the gentle heat. Your body interprets warmth as safety, as an invitation to open. And arteries that have been tight and guarded for years begin to soften before the active ingredient even arrives. Then the honey begins its own work. And I want to be very specific here, not processed honey. Not the clear, runny syrup sold in most supermarkets that has been heated, filtered, and stripped of everything medicinal. Raw, unfiltered, dark honey is what you need. The kind with a slightly thick, grainy texture that tells you its natural enzymes and minerals are still intact. Raw honey contains boron, a mineral most men have never heard of, but one that plays a critical role in men's sexual health. Boron has been shown in clinical research to inhibit the protein that binds testosterone in the bloodstream, making it unavailable to the body. When boron inhibits that binding protein, free testosterone rises. And free testosterone, not total testosterone, is what your muscles, your brain, and your sexual function actually use. Many men over 60 do not have absent testosterone. They have trapped testosterone. Raw honey begins to free it. Raw honey also contains flavonoids, plant antioxidants that directly stimulate the enzyme responsible for nitric oxide production in your arterial wall cells. So even before our key ingredient arrives, honey is already waking up those walls, telling them to begin producing the molecule they need to open and relax. And finally, raw honey creates a slow, stable release of natural sugars. This matters more than most men realize, because insulin spikes, the kind that come from processed sugar, alcohol, or late-night snacking, are one of the most powerful suppressors of sexual function in existence. When insulin spikes, nitric oxide production collapses. When raw honey is consumed in warm water on an empty stomach before bed, it does the opposite. It stabilizes insulin. It keeps the hormonal environment open, receptive, and ready for what comes next. Warm honey water unlocks the door. What we are about to add walks through it. For 20 years I have watched the pharmaceutical industry sell senior men the idea that the only answer to their most intimate struggles is a pill taken on demand. And while medication has its place, I have also watched those same medications fail men whose circulatory damage was so significant that even pharmaceuticals could not push enough blood through. Because the pill does not fix the artery. It does not reduce inflammation. It does not restore the vessel lining. It forces a temporary response in a system that is still fundamentally broken. What I am about to share works at the level of the artery itself. It addresses the root. And it does it with a compound that human beings have used for over 3,000 years. One that modern science has now studied so extensively that I can explain to you, molecule by molecule, exactly why it works. The ingredient is black seed oil. Cold-pressed, unrefined, from Nigella sativa. The ancient seed that has been referenced in traditional medicine across cultures for millennia, and that researchers at institutions across the world have now published hundreds of peer-reviewed studies on. 1 drop. Into your warm honey water. Before bed. Black seed oil contains thymoquinone, its primary active compound. Thymoquinone is one of the most potent natural nitric oxide stimulators ever studied. It directly activates endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme in your arterial walls responsible for producing nitric oxide. Not indirectly, not through a cascade of secondary reactions. Directly, it reaches into the cell and turns on the engine. Within approximately 20 to 40 minutes of absorption, nitric oxide begins to rise in the bloodstream. Arterial smooth muscle cells receive the signal to relax. Blood vessel walls that have been stiff and narrowed for months or years begin to soften. The diameter of the artery increases. And blood, more blood than those walls have allowed through in years, begins to move. But thymoquinone does not stop there. It has been shown to have powerful anti-inflammatory effects specifically on the inner lining of blood vessels. The biological rust I described earlier, the chronic inflammation coating and stiffening your arteries, thymoquinone works to clear it. Not overnight, but steadily, night after night. It reduces the inflammatory markers that have been quietly strangling your circulation. There is also peer-reviewed evidence that thymoquinone influences testosterone production directly. Studies have shown it can increase luteinizing hormone, the signal your brain sends to your testes instructing them to produce testosterone. Over time, consistent black seed oil consumption has been associated with meaningful improvements in testosterone levels in men across multiple age groups. And perhaps most remarkably, black seed oil reduces the activity of an enzyme called aromatase, which is responsible for converting testosterone into estrogen. As men age, aromatase activity increases. This means more of the testosterone your body produces gets silently converted before it ever reaches your muscles, your brain, or your sexual response. Black seed oil acts as a natural aromatase inhibitor, protecting your testosterone from being stolen before you can use it. 1 drop. Into warm honey water. Targeting 4 separate mechanisms at once. Type black seed in the comments right now if you have heard of this before, or if this is completely new to you. I genuinely want to know. Now, black seed oil in warm honey water is already powerful on its own. Men who do only this, 1 drop, every night, begin reporting changes within the first week. But what I want to give you today is the complete picture. Because black seed oil works on the artery wall. But your sexual health is a system. And every layer of that system needs support. So let me walk you through what happens when you build on this foundation. Because the additional ingredients I am about to describe create results that are exponentially greater than any single one of them could produce alone. Fresh ginger is the first addition, and its role is one that nothing else on this list can replicate. Ginger contains bioactive compounds called gingerols and shogales that do something uniquely important. They reduce blood viscosity. Remember when I explained that aging blood becomes thicker and more sluggish? Black seed oil opens the arterial walls. Warm honey water stabilizes insulin. But if the blood itself is too thick to push through, even a wider artery cannot deliver the volume your body needs. Ginger solves this directly. Gingerols inhibit excessive platelet aggregation, the clumping of blood cells that makes blood thick and slow-moving. When you add a small grating of fresh ginger to your warm honey water, you are naturally thinning the blood and allowing it to surge through the channels that black seed oil has opened. The combination creates what I think of as the river effect. Black seed oil widens the riverbed. Ginger ensures the water runs fast and clean through it. Men who add ginger to this ritual consistently report something very specific: a spreading warmth in the lower body within 20 minutes of drinking it. That is not imagination. That is blood moving through pathways it has been blocked from for years. Ceylon cinnamon is the next addition, and its role is to protect everything you are building. Here is something most men over 60 are never told. Every time blood sugar spikes, the body releases a surge of insulin, and every insulin surge simultaneously suppresses testosterone production and shuts down nitric oxide synthesis. This means that a single difficult evening, a large meal, a sweet snack, a couple of drinks, can chemically block the very processes you are working to restore. Not gradually, within the hour. Ceylon cinnamon, true Ceylon, not the cheap cashew variety, is one of nature's most potent insulin sensitizers. A quarter teaspoon added to your warm honey water creates a protective hormonal environment that holds steady throughout the night. Blood sugar stays flat. Insulin stays low. And the pathways for testosterone and nitric oxide remain open while you sleep. Cinnamon also carries its own mild vasodilatory effect, adding to the work ginger and black seed oil are already doing. 3 ingredients, 3 different mechanisms, working in the same direction simultaneously. A pinch of freshly ground black pepper is the addition most men overlook, and it may quietly be the most important one of all. Black pepper contains piperine, a compound studied extensively for its ability to enhance the bioavailability of other nutrients. Piperine works by inhibiting certain enzymes in the gut and liver that would otherwise break down active compounds before they can reach the bloodstream. For black seed oil specifically, piperine significantly increases the absorption of thymoquinone, meaning the active molecule responsible for stimulating nitric oxide and clearing vascular inflammation actually reaches your arterial walls instead of being metabolized before it gets there. A single pinch is all you need. It adds almost no detectable flavor, but it transforms your drink from a good ritual into an optimized delivery system. Fresh lemon juice is the final addition, and it completes the picture in 2 specific ways that nothing else accomplishes. The juice of half a lemon acidifies the mixture slightly, and that acidity enhances the conversion of natural nitrates present in honey and ginger into active nitric oxide in the stomach. More acidity means more complete conversion. More conversion means more nitric oxide reaching your blood vessels. And vitamin C, found abundantly in fresh lemon juice, directly protects nitric oxide molecules from destruction by free radicals in the bloodstream. Nitric oxide is fragile. It breaks down quickly unless it is shielded. Vitamin C acts as that shield, extending the functional lifespan of every molecule your arteries produce. What lemon juice gives you, in practical terms, is more nitric oxide that lasts longer. In a system that is already producing more nitric oxide through black seed oil, ginger, honey, and cinnamon, that extension of activity creates a difference you will feel. Let me now give you the exact protocol. Tonight, warm 200 milliliters of water to a comfortable, gentle warmth, not boiling. Add 1 teaspoon of raw, unfiltered dark honey and stir slowly until it dissolves. Add 1 drop of cold-pressed black seed oil. The aroma should be sharp, slightly bitter, and peppery. If it smells neutral, it has been refined and its active compounds reduced. Add a quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, a pinch of freshly ground black pepper, the juice of half a fresh lemon, and half a teaspoon of fresh ginger or a quarter teaspoon of ginger powder. Stir everything together gently. Drink it in small, slow sips over 5 to 10 minutes. Do not rush it. Gradual consumption allows absorption to begin in the mouth and throat, not just the stomach. The best time is 30 to 40 minutes before sleep, when your body is preparing for the deep hormonal repair it performs during rest. A few things to avoid. Do not use boiling water. It degrades active compounds. Do not use processed, clear honey. Do not use refined black seed oil. Take this on an empty or lightly fed stomach. Absorption is significantly better this way. And avoid antibacterial mouthwash within an hour of drinking the mixture, as it eliminates the oral bacteria that help convert natural nitrates into nitric oxide. These details matter. They are the difference between a ritual that works and one that disappoints. As for what to expect, in the first 3 nights, many men report a sense of spreading warmth in the lower body within 30 minutes and noticeably deeper, more restful sleep. By the end of the first week, morning firmness often begins to return. Pay close attention to this. It is one of the earliest and most reliable signals that circulation is genuinely improving. Into weeks 2 and 3, sustained energy during the day begins to shift. Not a jolt or a caffeine feeling, but a steady, reliable capacity that many men describe as something they had completely forgotten was possible. By week 4 and beyond, the change becomes emotional. Men describe it as a return of confidence, a different way of walking into a room, a look from their partner they had not seen in years. If you are going to start tonight, type the word tonight in the comments. I want to build a community of men beginning this journey together, and I want you to know you are not starting alone. Now I need to say something that goes beyond blood flow and arterial chemistry, because in 20 years of sitting across from senior men in my clinic, men who have achieved extraordinary things, raised families, built careers, served their communities, I have witnessed something that quietly breaks my heart every time. The moment a man begins to struggle with his sexual health, he does not just lose a physical function. He begins to lose himself. He stops reaching for his partner, not because he does not love her, but because the fear of disappointment becomes worse than the loneliness of distance. He starts waking before sunrise and lying still in the dark, already dreading what the day might ask of him. He stops making plans. He stops feeling like the future belongs to him in the same way it once did. He becomes quieter, more withdrawn. He tells himself he is simply getting older. But underneath that explanation is something far more painful. The feeling of being a man in a body that has stopped cooperating with his deepest sense of who he is. I have watched this happen to men at 55 and at 78. And I want you to hear me clearly when I say that withdrawal is not who you are. It is what years of inadequate circulation does to a man's psychology over time. And it is reversible. When blood flow returns, when mornings change, when desire reconnects with capacity and a man feels his body answer him again, something else returns alongside it. Something that cannot be measured in a laboratory, but that I have witnessed hundreds of times throughout my career. Dignity. A sense of aliveness. The return of a man to himself. Thomas was 77 years old when he first came to see me. Retired teacher. He had spent 3 years in a slow, painful distance from his wife. Not an absence of love, but an absence of confidence. He told me, I don't know how to be close to her anymore. It feels safer to keep my distance than to face another disappointment. 6 weeks after beginning this protocol, Thomas sat down in my office, folded his hands quietly, and said, "She reached for me last week." And I was there. Raymond was 69 and had been using medication for erectile dysfunction for 4 years, finding it less effective with each passing year. He was frightened of increasing his dose. He started the warm honey water ritual, and within 10 days reported that mornings felt different. Within 3 weeks he told me, "It feels like my body has a pulse again, like something came back online." 6 weeks in discussion with his own physician, his medication dose was reduced. His body was doing more of the work on its own. And then there was Marcus, 81 years old. He had met a new partner at 78, and was privately terrified that his age meant he had nothing physical to offer her. He began this routine with almost no expectation. He told me frankly, "I'm doing this so I can at least tell myself I tried." For weeks later he called my office. The first thing he said was, "She thinks I have been secretly taking something. I told her it is just honey water. She does not believe me." I believed him completely. Because I have seen this more times than I can count. These are not miraculous stories. They are the natural outcome of giving a body what it has been asking for. Your arteries did not forget how to open. Your cells did not forget how to produce nitric oxide. Your testosterone did not disappear. The system was simply starved of the right fuel, the right signals, and the right conditions to restore itself. And now you have them. Before you go, I want to ask you 3 things. If this video gave you something real today, information your doctor never offered, hope you had quietly given up on, or simply the feeling of being spoken to honestly, please hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it is how YouTube ensures this content reaches the next man who is sitting alone somewhere searching for exactly what you just found. Leave a comment below. Tell me your age. Tell me the one thing you most want back. Whether that is morning firmness, sustained energy, confidence, or simply feeling like yourself again. Write it down. I read every comment personally, and your words may be the reason another man realizes he is not alone in this. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors and turn on the notification bell. 1 video every week, each one built around one purpose: giving senior men the honest, specific, evidence-informed guidance they are not receiving anywhere else. Next week I am covering the specific nutrient deficiency that causes testosterone to drop sharply overnight in men over 65, and the single food that corrects it within 11 days. You do not want to miss it. And finally, share this video with one man you care about. A brother, a close friend, a father, someone you know is quietly carrying this but would never say so out loud. Send it without explanation. Let him find it the way you did. You might change something significant for him. You might save his marriage. You might give him back something he had genuinely stopped believing was possible. The penile artery is 1 to 2 millimeters wide. Tonight, you are going to feed it. You are going to give it the compounds it needs to relax, to open, and to carry the blood your body has been trying to send for years. That is not a small thing. That is the beginning of a return. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. You are not past what is possible for you. You are a man whose body has been waiting for the right signal. Tonight, you give it one. I am Dr. Mei Anderson. This is Vital Health Seniors. And I will see you in the next video.